Three, two.
So you guys know that we here at the JTH show regularly talk about teachers. I am a very pro teacher kind of guy, but I'm also a very pro kind of facts kind of guy. Where if there is some BS to call out, it's gonna be called out, regardless if you're a teacher, or you are, hell, you're a priest. Really, I don't discriminate, right? And there are plenty teachers out there that you guys have seen videos on that we've shown you guys here on the show, where they're becoming a little unhinged. If we're gonna be honest here, okay? I'm not trying to start name calling, but a lot of them, it could be the pressures of COVID, right? Could be the pressures of dealing with a brand new system for a lot of these teachers. A lot of them were not used to, distance learning. So I get it. I understand. But I think a lot of them are also pushing the envelope a little bit more than they need to right now. And it's just creating more divisions, right? It's creating more parents that are going to be more upset. Yeah, I understand that some parents are already kind of like those, what do they call them? Helicopter parents. But
Right.
You're already pushing some of these parents over the edge. Now, another thing we've covered here extensively on the JTH show is people that forget that just because you're on a Zoom call, it doesn't mean that it's private. In fact, if you think about it, it's kind of the opposite. You should assume that it's being recorded, and you should assume that it's going to leak. We've shown you guys, right? Dating all the way back probably to like sometime in 2019, 2020, where I showed you guys kids that were taking advantage of distance learning and recording themselves doing, just dumb things, to most recently, high senior professors in universities kind of just, discussing their point of views and what they're going to push on students, and then being called out, and they're like, yeah, so I know who, doesn't matter. Guess what? Yet again, we have this right here, where we have the teachers, I should say, essentially pushing whatever their beliefs are, okay? Which I want everybody listening to this to understand that when you push something or demand for something to be respected, right, whatever you believe in, it's going to be a two-way highway, all right? And what do we say here? What do we preach on the JTH show is critical thinking. And you don't have to use a lot of that to understand that, hey, yeah, if I push for people to accept A from me, well, when they present their A or their B argument, I'm going to kind of have to accept it, even if I don't agree with it. So in the first video we're going to show you guys, we have a Portland teachers, who are told point blank to teach critical race theory or to get fired. Now, I've said it publicly here on the show that I don't believe in critical race theory. I know Josh has said that, hey, in paper sounds great, but in practice it's a different story, right? Now, let's watch this quick video. And there's quite a few things here to break down of what this, I don't know if she's maybe the leader of the teachers, because it looks like she's leading this meeting, but there's quite a few things that we need to break down here on this video, and then you guys can let us know if we're onto something. So let's start now.
Watkins, 8th grade humanities teacher at Cedar Park Middle School, and my pronouns are she, her, we, and us. I'm going to say something that's not nice and not sweet, but it's true. If you're not evolving into an anti-racist educator, you're making yourself obsolete in this field of profession. Our district is only getting browner and browner with our children. And so if, obviously you can't change your melanin, all right, but you can change your mind so that you can actually function in a district that is full of BIPOC children. So if you're being resistant, I understand that, but you're going to have to eventually come to the light, because if you're going to keep with those old views of colonialism, it's going to lead to being fired, because you're going to be doing damage to our children, trauma. And so as we fire the teachers who sexually abuse our children, we will be firing the teachers who do racist things to our children traumatize them. And while our district might not be completely on there, OEA is working on it. All right. NEA is working on it. And so it's just a matter of time. So it's like you either evolve or dissolve. You've got to start walking with us.
I'm still very curious. What the hell did she say there at the end? You got to start wanting with us.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if anyone who's woke knows what that means, please leave a comment because I'm lost. I don't know.
Yeah, same here. So guys, there at the beginning, and by the way, I'm going to replay it, but I'm going to mute it because I want everybody to start just checking out the expressions of some of these teachers, right? While we're giving our thoughts on the video. So first out of the beginning, you hear her declare her pronouns, right? And we are in a world where you are encouraged right now to just speak your pronouns, to say what you identify as. And I've said it here on the show that, hey, whatever, you want to identify as a chair, do you? But don't go around expecting others to tell you and to force them to identify as something that maybe they're not with that whole movement. They either don't care what they're called, or they're like, yeah, I'm just a he, or just a she, and you shouldn't make them feel like, well, what do you want to be though? Please, be more open about this. There needs to be a two-way understanding that if you want to identify as a chair, identify as a chair. But if someone tells you, I don't believe in that, leave me alone, I think we should leave that person alone. Now here, in a school board meeting or whatever this is with teachers, in my opinion, it is a mistake to bring that is still very sensitive to society into a professional setting. This is not BuzzFeed, right? I've said this before. There are some really, really extra woke companies, like BuzzFeed is known to be, where they literally, that's probably one of the top questions in your application. And you know what? Whatever, man. That's what BuzzFeed wants to be. I tell them, right? They want to tell you, they want to give you a beanbag in a tree next to your desk to hug. Go ahead, man. Go work up BuzzFeed. Be happy. Be happy there. But they're not a state-ran operations, right? There is a reason why they say that if you want to have good relationships at work, don't bring up what? Religion. Don't bring up what? Politics, right? And the whole gender stuff, it's still very political, right? It's still very, very political, where it's not clear, dry. Like an example, when they ask you in a application, what is your sex, right? Which you were assigned at birth. That we understand now, it's more formal, so you're a male, you're a female. But to bring now in gender, I think, in my opinion, opens up a can of worms, right? Because we have to respect it's a two-way highway, like I said at the beginning, right? That if some people don't feel comfortable either discussing gender, giving their gender, or just about, that topic in general, we shouldn't push it on other people. Okay. So she opens up her meeting that way. Remember, this is for school. This is not BuzzFeed. This is not working at whatever woke company you can think of. This is working what is a very traditional setting, like working for a state, right? For school ran or state ran school. Okay. So in addition, she goes on to say, we need to make sure that our teachers are not racist. I'm all for that. That's a pretty good statement. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Don't be racist. That's fine. But then if you realize, and Josh, correct me if you think I'm wrong, it went and it kind of, the conversation went into a more threatening feeling, right? Like, right. If you're not with us, you're against us, and your job is pretty much on the line, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know that it was needed to go down that road and say something like that to make your point across. Like, who there does she think we're going to stand up and be like, Miss whatever, I actually disagree with you. I want to be racist still. I don't think that anybody was going to do that, right? For her to go that far and be like, we have these people backing us. And it's like, okay, well, the NEA or whatever, the National Educators Association that's an independent organization to support educators, yes. but they're not ran by the state. They're an independent. It's like the NRA. I hate when they interject the NRA in political talk. Like the NRA is part of the government. They're the National Rifle Association here in America, if you guys don't know what that is, which essentially is a company or an organization that kind of, the whole modus operandi about them is that it's guns, 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 guns. So when in the Senate, right, there's conversations like, well, the NRA says, screw what they say. They're an independent organization. They're not a branch of the government, right? So I don't know what her push there was like. And in case you don't know, the NEA, it's like, okay, I mean, it's fine what the NEA believes. It's independent of what the school board believes. And as she said herself in that video, if you guys caught that, she's like, we're trying to get the school to get there, but the NEA is working on it. It's like, oh, I mean, dude, like why? What is it that you want these teachers to do? A lot of them, I said before, I'm already on their side because they are being pushed quite a bit. But now it's like, if you don't believe in, critical race theory, which she said it's colonialism for some reason, right? Let's just say you want to stay out of it. Let's just say you want to stay out of it, Josh. Like you don't want to go down that road. But if you don't teach it the way she just suggested, you might get fired.
Exactly. Well, exactly. It's her pushing her. Essentially, you could even put it as her pushing her own religion. You know what I mean? It's like just because she believes it. That's the funny thing about woke culture. That's the thing that they did. That Christianity probably couldn't, because Christianity said, hey, if you're bad, you don't like God, you're going to hell, right? And now, because that doesn't work on people, and people are like, yeah, whatever, I don't mind, I don't even believe in God. So now the best way to control people is by manipulating them in this way, in which they can say like, so if you're not with us, you're racist, you're the worst living thing on this face of a planet, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how, just because you don't agree with them, it's like, oh, right, you don't agree with me? Racist.
Yeah, exactly. And just so you know, again, we're going to threaten you with, you might lose your job.
Exactly.
I mean, unless she literally has firing power, like to dismiss someone from their job, I don't know that is something that she should be saying. I mean, again, we're not talking about a small mom and pop operation that is ran by like the siblings or something, or the dad and then like the wife. And they're a small diner, and you kind of expect that kind of talk coming out of a place like that. And even that, people can get in trouble and get fired because it can be seen as discriminatory, right? This is a school, right, funded by the state, very likely funded by any of the states here in the US, right? And saying things like that, like, if you're not with what we're saying here, you might get fired. And again, in my opinion, if you're going to defend her actions, if anybody's going to defend her actions and say, well, JT, come on, what is she saying that's so wrong that you're so pressed about? Okay, fine. Well, let's go look at an example like this. Let's go to the next article. We have here an article coming out of the Daily Caller. Teacher who said boys can't be girls has been put on administrative leave. For any of you guys out there that are woke beyond what I am, before you start jumping and saying, this is different, hold on, because I remember there's a reason I mentioned that the lady there mentioned her genders, because there is already in her head the inherited privilege, if you might say, that she has in saying, I'm going to say my genders, even though, again, I know it's a controversial topic still around the world for many people, a sensitive one, and no one here can question it. No one here can tell me anything, or they're going to be racist, or they're going to be bigoted, or they're going to be something, right? Something. So this teacher here, if you really think about her and you're going to be honest, for those of you guys that are ready to freaking troll us, how is this different? This man here, according to the article, I'm going to read a little bit of what it says. A Virginia elementary school gym teacher who told the school board he would not, quote, affirm that a biological boy can be a girl and vice versa has been placed on administrative leave. During the Tuesday Loudoun County School Board meeting, Byron, quote, Tanner, I mean, maybe his, that's his go-by name, Cross said he could not, in accordance with his religious beliefs, tell students who are biological boys that they are girls. He said, I guess in that board meeting, my name is Tanner Cross, and I am speaking out of love for those who suffer with gender dysphoria. Cross said, 60 Minutes this past Sunday interviewed over 30 young people who transitioned, but they felt led astray because lack of pushback or how easy it was to make the physical changes. That is true, actually. I saw that same 60-minute video. To their bodies in just 3 months, Cross said. They are now transitioning. Detransition, I'm sorry. So this is very true. This is not something the guy made up, either whatever he goes by, Tanner or Byron. It's true. It's a real video that came out. They interviewed not just a couple people, right? Because I've seen a lot of people in comments, like in our video that I keep referencing here, where people are like, "Oh, sure, have your token trans woman or trans man that are against the vast majority of us." That is not an accurate statement. There are plenty people, right, that are not an example with giving these young children, I think they call them like puberty blockers or whatever, like basically medicine, right? They're not with that, and they are themselves in the trans community. They are people that are like, you know what, I Tanner here or Byron, whatever, that he's like, because of my religion, I cannot in his faith sit there and be honest about saying, all right, whatever, if John comes in to school tomorrow and now he tells me he's Joanna, I just cannot do it. And I want everybody to remember that there was that one teacher at the beginning of this video where she came out and basically imposed her genders or whatever she's called or identified as, right? She gave like 4 or 5 different ones on everyone. She just threw them on everyone, right? And I think this conversation about genders, in my opinion, by the way, should be very much like this, right? Something along those lines of either you know somebody, like I would know Josh, right? I know Josh more intimate than just here on the show. So I know if maybe Josh is okay and if he's comfortable with me telling him, all right, hey, Josh, by the way, I'm going to go by it. And we all have an intimate conversation. He'll be like, all right, dude, I mean, I don't know where you're going with this, but okay. And then he'll maybe, if he's comfortable, he'll tell me his. At the same time, I may have another friend who doesn't think, that genders, or going by different pronouns is a thing. But I'm not going to go over there and tell that friend, hey, I go by it. And if you don't, it just cause a fight, right? Because it's a two-way thing. Because then you're saying, okay, well, whatever makes me comfortable, you have to go by it. It is a two-way highway. Do you know what I'm going with this?
Yeah, basically you're saying like for you to be comfortable shouldn't make somebody else uncomfortable, right? Okay, so now looking at this guy, I think, to be quite honest, in both articles, both people are wrong, if you ask me. So I think something like politics, religion, all that kind of stuff should be left at the door before you go to school, right? And now, because of everything that's going on in the world right now with identity politics, it's very it's the bandwagon that everybody's jumping on now, right? To try and I don't know what they're trying to do, but it seems that a lot of people are just very confused about what really trans is. Because the thing is about trans people, it's something very new to the human race. This is something that didn't happen. I don't know. You might be able to argue that this happened, I don't know, hundreds of years ago in ancient Greece. Guys used to dress up as well. I don't know. Okay. But the thing is, that might have happened, yes, but we don't understand the science behind it, okay? So before we start putting people on hormone blockers just at the signs of certain things, let's think carefully about how this might damage a child, first of all. So that's your first point there. You had to think, we don't understand we don't understand the way trans works, honestly. None of us do. I mean, trans people just say, it's just a feeling. Yeah, that I really like the technical jargon on that one. It's just a feeling.
Yeah. It's just whatever you feel inside. And for that matter, it's like, okay, well, what does wait, come on. Can you put in more than just feelings? Like an actual, I don't know, right? An actual intelligent thought, can you put it in that? No. Okay.
The thing is I'm not saying that I'm not going to recognize someone as trans if they want to be recognized as trans. Because honestly, in Spanish, me vale. I don't care. I do not care. It's like, if you want, like you said, JT, if someone wants to identify as a chair or anything like that, that's absolutely fine. But don't get your butt hurt when someone doesn't want to respect the same as you do. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, you have to understand, these people, there are going to be people who don't understand. That's fine. But instead of throwing insults at them, talk to them. Actually hear their point of view, see where they're going wrong, and change their mind like that. Instead of getting them fired, instead of thinking that banning someone from a social media platform is going to do anything, they're just going to make a new one. What is it? The fucking Patriot app that was going to come out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. They're just going to move somewhere else. They're going to go, okay, cancel me on Twitter. I'll go to TikTok. I'll go to, I don't know, Facebook. I'll go to God knows what, anything else that exists, by the way, outside of the US, right? They'll go to those applications. And the thing here is that if we're going to push for respect for people's beliefs in when it comes to gender or pronouns, whatever, then we have to respect guys like this, where he has a more, call it old fashioned if you want, that's fine. A more old fashioned set of beliefs based on religion. But you can't ask for respect if you don't give it, kind of thing, right? And you're right.
Exactly.
Both of these individuals bringing in their personal beliefs into specifically a school setting, I don't see how that's going to end well. I don't see how I don't know how that's going to work out, other than either getting fired, like this guy's, on administrative leave, or somebody leaking out your conference like they did with the first lady. And now it's like, okay, now what? Now you're going to have mass amount of people come after you and just bash you because they don't agree with you, right? I think that when it comes to stuff like that, it's still a good, even if it's an antiquated thought, it might still be a good idea to leave politics and religion and deep controversial personal beliefs outside of your place of business, right? I think we should still go with that. Again, unless you're working at somewhere like BuzzFeed or something, then by all means, do you. If BuzzFeed is going to want, their HR is going around asking, so Mary, what would you like to be called today? That's their company. They are free to run their company how they want, as long as they do it legally, right? And they're not breaking any laws. Go ahead, pay somebody, whatever that's going to cost you, to walk around on a weekly basis and say, Mary, today, how do you identify? Because last week you identify as it. How do you identify today? Thy? Okay, thy. Got it. Now, one thing that I'll make a point on this, call me an asshole if you want. I was telling Josh, while you have a lot of people that will jump on this idea of using pronouns, what are you going to do, or what do people actively do with, if you want to call them assholes, sure, assholes that will say something like, okay, cool, hey, thank you to that, whatever that first lady was. Thank you, Mrs. A, for instance. By the way, my pronouns are God. And it makes it very awkward for everybody. Can you mark him as being an asshole? Yes, but it doesn't take away the fact that now you have to pay him the same respect that he is saying, hey, I'll respect yours, Josh, or again, in this case, Mrs. A. She said, I think he, she, and us or something. And he says, okay, I'm going to use them, Mrs. A, she, right? But I want you to use mine, and I'm God. So when you refer to me, I would like you to say, and God.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's one thing. I mean, we've already covered this story before. I mean, in the UK, a man was sent to prison for multiple rapes, actually. I can't remember where I got this. I think it was in The Guardian. We'll have to check again. But that guy essentially said, hey, I'm a woman. I'm a trans woman. You have to respect that. You have to put me in a women's prison. So what happens?
That's true. Well, I mean, remember, we covered also the story here where there were,
exactly.
Remember? So it's happening, I think, everywhere, where if someone says, now I identify as this, I know we said it in that show. I know I said it. We need to start really having definitive, realistic measures when for us to be able to determine if people are not abusing this, because I think clearly we can see some people are already abusing it. The whole shebang, right? For their benefit, for their personal benefit. And that's just the way things are in the world. For anything that you say that is good for humanity, there will always be someone that will come along and try to abuse it, right? And it may not be for the best of humanity. It might just be for their best, but not for humanity. So that's a story for that one, guys. You know, you let us know your comments on below. Let us know if you guys disagree or whatnot. But now let's go over to another one. Now this one, it's not satire. Everybody, as soon as they read this, they're gonna be like, "You're kidding." Dems vote to allow scientists to create animal-human hybrids in disturbing move. I like to sometimes point out, by the way, side note, where we get these stories from, because I feel like everyone probably thinks that either we go to Fox News or we go to CNN. And we are very diverse in where we get our information. I think we've mentioned we get a lot of our feed from BuzzSumo, which gives you just a huge, like, aggregated amount of news sources from everywhere, all sides of the political spectrum. This one comes from the Western Journal. So no, if anybody's like, oh, they said Dems, probably Fox News. No, this is a Western Journal, which I have seen they are very left-leaning. But even they are calling out the, quote, Dems. And in the U.S., if you don't know, those are the Democrats. Why? Because of what you just heard right now. In a little bit of the article, they say that the Senate Democrats have rejected an amendment that would criminalize, research that create chimeras. What do you call that? Chimeras? I mean, chimeras. We'll go to chimera.
I don't know. I think a lot of other people might have a different name for that, like an abomination.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Know. Also known as basically an animal-human hybrid. I know, you might think like, dude, this is like The Onion. Like, this cannot be true. No, this is real, and I'll tell you why. Okay, and I know for some people outside of the U.S. that watch us, because I know people from the U.K. watch us, they're like, dude, you guys are insane. Yeah, you would be right, the Americans. So a little bit more. According to a Fox News report, the 49 votes against amending the, quote, Endless Frontier Act consisted of 47 Democrats and 2 independents, including Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont and Angus King. 48 Republicans supported the measure, which also contained language like barring the transfer of human embryo to a non-human womb and vice versa. I say it really slowly because I don't want anybody to miss anything of what I'm saying. You heard that right. We in the United States are so goddamn out of our minds that we have things in our I guess you can call it the government that talks about transferring human embryos to non-humans, which are basically animals. Like we don't screw with animals enough in the U.S. You know, I eat meat, right? I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. I use animal products,
sure,
and I'm conscious of it, right? And sometimes I try. I'm not a tree hugger, but I try to like not abuse that, right? Not only for the fact that, you know, I'm messing with animals, but I also do it for my health. Mm-hmm. But to go as far as saying like, oh yeah, it's totally normal to put human embryos in animals. Dude, what the hell is wrong with us here? So let me read more. Not those Democrats, but okay, here we go. We shouldn't need to clarify in law that creating an animal-human hybrid or chimeras, whatever, is ethically unthinkable. But sadly, the need for that very clear distinction has arrived, said Oklahoma Republican Senator James Lankford. I don't know who the hell he is. There's one more thing that I want to read here real quick. Where was it? We just saw it. Okay, here we go. The outlet also noted that while the National Institute of Health does not participate in chimera research, individual universities continue to have independent research programs geared towards animal-human hybrid studies. So I guess, to be fair to the government, I don't know, national institutes, which are usually funded by the government, they don't really mess with it. But it looks like possibly independent researchers, maybe at universities, they do. And a lot of times these universities are not necessarily funded by the government. It could be independent. Example, like many Ivy League schools, most of their funding is private, right? Rich people like Harvard or Princeton, right? So they're like, yeah, hey, we're funded independently, so we'll mess with it. Why not? We'll put some baby eggs inside, I don't know, like a pig. Which brings me to why this is even a topic. So I researched this outside of this article. I researched it. It appears that in the U.S. for some time now, I did not know this. We in the U.S. decided that it was somewhat normal to essentially try to put a pig's heart in a human. Try to maybe see if we can, or how compatible essentially can we be with humans, because many people either do not like cybernetic parts in them, right? Like a mechanical heart, mechanical lung, whatever. And some people, they just feel that it would be more natural to have something that is, like of an animal in us. Mm. Why? Because, in large part, there is a very, 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 very small part that I get. And that is that there are usually many deaths in the U.S. due to a lack of, pick your organ, like literally insert organ name here, heart, lungs, liver. There's just many people that die because there's literally a waiting list for organ transplant. Hell, there's a reason why that is such a, I don't know if you want to call it a commodity, but in the black market, right? Where people will go out and bid millions of dollars sometimes for hearts from not only adults, but yeah, you got it, children. So they're saying, hey, would it be better for it to come from an animal that we somehow genetically engineer? So it's hard for me to say that I don't get where some of these scientists, I guess you want to call them, researchers, come from. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, should we be messing with animals to this degree? Aren't we not already abusing them beyond what we, nature, if you want to say, intended it? Do you know what I'm saying here?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough one. I mean, I can like you said, I could totally see it. They're like, we can farm animals, so why can't we farm organs? But we can't do that with people. Okay, so what's the animal with the heart closest to us? I don't know, maybe a pig. I don't know. All right, let's give it a shot.
It's a pig.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. I do completely get that. But it's the most US kind of response that they did, though, right? They were just like, yeah, the government can't be seen doing this, but private companies, no problem.
Yeah. Hey, Harvard, here's a couple $1 million. Oh my God. How did that get there? Oh, that's kind of weird. It's, it's in your pocket now. So you do that with as you may. But remember, human transplant, it is a little crazy because, again, there is a very small part of me that says, well, JT, what if you needed a heart tomorrow, dude? Or a lung, or again, anything, right? A liver, kidneys. Wouldn't you take it from an animal? Yes, if you put me in that position where there's nobody, I mean, none of my family members can donate anything. I'm on a waiting list that supposedly is like 2 years long, but I only have 6 months. Ooh. But I think I would rather take a mechanical one. You know what I mean? I don't know. Sure. That's my opinion.
Sure. No, I get that. The thing is, it's like we don't know enough about it scientifically. I don't know of anyone who has a pig heart, literally, right? So I don't know if it's been, there've been people who've talked about doing head transplants and stuff like that. I don't know if a human has survived a interspecies organ donation.
Good question.
I don't know.
I guess I should have researched that before we started this one, but I'm pretty sure we've done, I think, skin grabs from certain animals, right? I think that there's been some kind of level of even like I don't know what you call the plasma. I think it's called, where they mess with, it's not blood. It's something to do with blood, like plasma. Again, I'm not obviously a doctor or a scientist, but I know we've messed with animal plasma before and somehow use it in very dire situations, right? But like you said, like an actual full-blown organ, I wouldn't be surprised if that has happened already. But again, I don't mean to sound like a PETA supporter, but I think we are pushing the envelope, when it comes to now harvesting animals for the purpose of the organs that we now genetically engineer in them for, once again, the benefit of mankind. I don't know that that's the reason why animals were put on this planet, whether you believe by science or by God. I think that's pushing it, right? I mean, that's just too much, in my opinion. I mean,
sure.
Right?
Sure. No, I think I did have a train of thought there. I can't quite remember it off the top of my head, but it was it was kind of going on the same thing. It's like, why? Shit, no, it's gone.
That's right. What do you think that it's better? Again, because we're such, in comparison to any other generation, we are such an advanced, right, species right now, again, comparing to previous generations, where we should maybe rather continue researching heavily the idea of mechanical parts versus, again, harvesting them from animals. Because imagine killing a pig. Even if you say, well, JT, these pigs would be killed not only for their heart, but then the rest would go to consumption. Well, first of all, now you're eating a very biologically, mess with animal. So I don't know if you want to put that in your mouth, and aside from putting it in your heart, in your body. But I don't know that this is a clear-cut, dry situation like that. I think the best scenario is for us to go back to the drawing board and continue engineering these mechanical body parts, right? That can somehow mimic an organic body part versus harvesting it from animals. That's all I'll say on this, because I think it's pretty messed up, and I'm glad to see that it's not cut and dry. Am I gonna blame the Dems? No, I mean, I've said it before. I'm neither on the left or the right. There are some conservative things about me, but I think that it's definitely something that we should continue debating, because obviously there's not enough research, right? And I think we shouldn't start bringing animals in the lab to see how else can we freaking torture these animals. But I'll leave it there.
Yeah, sure. No. I think one thing, actually, now that I just remembered it, is one of the biggest problems that we have is in this planet right now is the ecological impact that would have, because so much of the world's pollution, or the world has been polluted so much by agriculture.
Right.
Huge expanses of land in the US, or even now I understand that Canada and South America, McDonald's in South America has a lot of their cattle farms there, and they actually take down parts of rainforest to actually farm cattle there. That's what I've come to understand, at least, or a lot of US meat, at least.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
So, yeah, there's that to bear in mind. It's like there's going to be a huge ecological impact as well, because like you said, it's like we can't just use any old pig, right? At least not right now.
No, we couldn't,
because like it would have to be therefore genetically modified to be more like a human, and therefore unable to be eaten, because that would be considered possible cannibalism. I don't know.
That's a good point. Imagine all of a sudden it's like, well, this pig is almost there. Were they gonna talk? It actually sounds like a human a little bit. Yeah, like oh, this is actually Bob. Bob, introduce yourself. Bob. And it's like, oh, damn. Okay, all right, you're taking it that far. But you bring up a good point as well, that like you said, agriculture, it is what it is now. So now imagine going into a situation where you're like, okay, all this over here for body parts, all these like 2,000, 3,000, whatever animals, and then all this over here is for consumption of food. And it almost doubles it up, because instead of turning around the problem of why we have such bad health, at least here in the US, I can't speak for the rest of the world, we are just like, screw it, dude. Continue eating up the bacon, continue eating up whatever is basically killing you, giving you heart disease. Don't worry, we got you. For $49.99, we got a new heart for you, because that's how many of them we have nowadays. Where you can just like, just when that one gets clogged up with cholesterol, hey, we got you. What is it? Oscar Myers, I think, is one of the companies around the world that does like meat products. Oscar Myers got you. They got your belly full and your heart happy, literally. Jesus Christ. Oh man.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, that was the last story, guys. Yeah, that's all I have for that one. You?
Yeah, that's it from me as well.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for watching as always. And yeah, that's it. And until next time. See ya.